I've known Pat Hart for a while now. The passion he brings to whatever he does is absolutely immense and amazing. He private businessman, somebody that knows what it's like to get the job done, meet payroll, and meet all the demands and the requirements that any small business has. But he's also the chair of the Dem-NPL in the state of North Dakota, which is not an easy job. It's not an easy job in a state that's as red as what this state is. And everybody who thinks it's never going to be blue again needs to go back through the history of where North Dakota was and where it got for a big piece of time. Ask Kent Conrad, Byron Dorgan, Heidi Heitkamp, Earl Pomeroy, Bud Sinner. I can keep listing names if you want me to, whether or not a Democrat can win in this state if given the opportunity at the right time. I know it. I understand it. Well, the Democratic convention was held in Minot. And, you didn't see the numbers that they had in the Republican convention, but you saw a lot of the passion. And I want to bring Pat in and have a conversation about that. Pat, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I always find a pleasure in coming on your show. And, yeah, I think we had a pretty good convention last week. It was went off without a hitch. One thing that I was really proud about, and I'll just say, was our virtual attendance option. For the first time, we were able to have an in-person and virtual hybrid meeting. I believe at our highest credentials count, we had about 150 people virtually attending. So we really made it an accessible event by eliminating every barrier of entry we could. We want people to come no matter who they are, where they work, and even if they're unable to come up to Minot last weekend. So I thought it was a success in that matter.
I was one of those. I had a little garage party for people that wanted to attend the convention, but it couldn't or wouldn't make the big push to Minot. There were some people in my garage that have been diehard card-carrying Democrats for years, and they were kind of sad that they couldn't make it timing-wise to Minot, but they certainly loved having the opportunity to go, and so or to be part of it. And the virtual option worked. It really did, and they could take part in the convention. Should that be always there for them, Pat?
I think it depends really on the cycle. Going through COVID, of course, we all learned to do this right here, to Zoom and to interact. And Zoom fatigue is something that is real. But because of that, I think it really allowed organization across North Dakota and every corner of North Dakota to come together despite the geographic barriers. Should we do it every cycle? I think we should definitely have the discussion on whether or not to do it. Ultimately, I want people in that room. I want the energy. I want the clapping and the shouting. But again, we're coming out of COVID. A lot of people still don't feel safe getting together in crowds. And I really do think that this year, that hybrid option really worked as a solution.
So let's talk a little bit about the job of every convention, which is to put together a platform and say, look, this is what my party stands for, and then to go on and find candidates that meet those goals and make sure you've got names on ballots on the ballot. So how do you think you did? How do you grade the Dem-NPL there?
Well, on the platform, I actually think, and I got to give a shout out before I start to Patrick Engelhardt. He was our platform chair. The platform committee met for about 4 hours on Thursday night, and they met all day on Friday up until about 3 o'clock. And our platform has had so many wish list items in it that really represent our values, but at the same time, it leaves people scratching their head thinking, is this really what brings people to the party? So this cycle, Patrick Engelhardt and the committee really kind of streamlined that. I think they got it down to 12 or 14 pages. And really, as far as platforms go, it passed in the General Assembly with only about an hour of discussion. We added a couple elements, but I think we really put together a platform that summarizes the values, that's concise, and that really kind of reflects the soul of the Democratic Party. So as far as platform goes, I think we hit that one out of the park.
What about candidates, Pat? You went to town with some certain slots not filled. You got some slots filled. You also have some left open. I mean, how is that process going?
Well, we filled the U.S. Senate with Katrina Christensen. We got U.S. House with Mark Haugen. We have Tim Lamb at Attorney General, Fenton Dooley at Ag Commissioner. We have Melanie Moniz at Public Service Commission. And, of course, Trygve Hammer at the second Public Service Commission slot. We are still trying to fill Secretary of State and Tax Commissioner, which are two very important races. Last cycle, of course, we had Josh Boucher and Kylie Overson gunning for those seats. And I'll tell you, we're going to have until Monday the 11th to fill those. We were able to step away with convention with a motion to allow the executive committee, which is about 15 of us, to appoint nominees in that position. And I'll tell you, just now in my truck, I had one of our paid staffers come here and do call time, and we're trying to recruit candidates. We're trying to recruit and put the best people out there. And one thing that I'm really left after, another session of call time is the really qualified people that we have in the state, the people that have a bench. They've, been put in, local and county positions. They've been on school boards and elevators. And, I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave no stone unturned. We're going to try to get the best candidates out there, and I'll be doing call time up until Monday.
Pat, I'm going to say this, and I don't really care how many Republicans I tick off by saying this, but some of the best candidates that we can have on the Dem-NPL side have jobs, and they're out there working. They weren't born with the type of jobs where, mom, dad, or whoever says, I got your back in this business that we own. These are individuals that work for someone, and they're not going to let them take a leave of absence, and that has to be a real hurdle for you.
It absolutely is. And the other thing that hurt too, and I would be amiss if I didn't mention, is the fact that redistricting put almost all of our elected officials up for re-election. Of course, Joan Heitkamp got her district deleted, which is the only Senate minority leader in the country to have her district, after all the years of service, literally wiped from the board. And of course, Corey Mock up in Grand Forks got a pass this election cycle. But typically, we would really kind of lean on the public officials that have great name recognition. They've been through several positive campaigns, and we would really lean on them to help fill statewide positions. But everyone's really fighting for their own district this cycle. So that's kind of hurt us a little. And then, like you said, traditionally, I think what we've seen, you see a lot of realtors, a lot of business owners, a lot of lawyers go for these positions simply because they have that opportunity to have time away from work and kind of some leniency from their professions. But, really when I talk to a lot of North Dakotans, a lot of Democrats, people like me who are out on construction site, they're sitting in a tractor, and they simply can't have that time away from their kids or their young ones in their jobs to run a full-time race. That's going to last 5 or 6 months. So, candidate recruitment is always uphill battle sometimes, but like I said, as I'm making the calls, we got a lot of people on the bench, a lot of people that say, maybe next year. Just talked to a gentleman that's got a 2-year-old and a baby on the way, and I can't really fault him for prioritizing his family over a statewide race this cycle. But the last thing he told me before I got off the phone, he said, keep calling me. I'll run for legislature. I'll run for state office. It's just got to be the right timing in my life. And I have to respect that.
We went through that. In my home district, we had an individual that will make a great candidate, well-known around the district, just retired. But you know what? He's doing Meals on Wheels. He's driving school bus. He's helping at the Senior Citizen Center. He's driving people back and forth to Fargo to get the medical care they need. He's working with the fire department. He's a rock-solid Democrat. He said, I'll walk in parades on the weekends with you. I'll help any way I can. He said, I just need to get my daughter through college, so I can be there for her before this. And, I know for a fact 4 years from now he's going to run. I do. And he'll win 4 years from now. The Dem-NPL, people think it's dead in the state of North Dakota. I'm just going to ask you, is it dead in the state of North Dakota?
It's absolutely not. And I really think the energy level that we saw at convention last week or 2 weekends ago really proves that it's not. Do we have some struggles? Yes. Is candidate recruitment in certain districts troublesome? It is. But is the energy there? Absolutely. And I'll take a line from from Josh Boucher. I know everyone knows Josh. Josh said he really wished people would quit saying it's hard to be a Democrat in the state. And it really took me a minute. And I thought, is it hard to be a Democrat? And I thought, absolutely not. Supporting schools, supporting, healthcare, caring more about your community than a tax deduction on a K-1 or a 1099. Those aren't hard things. This isn't hard. Is organizing tough sometimes? Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, these values, time and time again, they're going to win.
Last one, I promise, Pat, but you saw the Republican convention play out. John Hoeven has held statewide elected office since the year 2000, both as governor and United States senator. He could only garner up 54% of the vote from his own party. I mean, I didn't see that one coming. Rick Becker did tremendously well. And is that an indicator that John Hoeven is vulnerable and that the Republican Party might be split?
Well, I think it's absolutely an indicator that the Republican Party split. I mean, 200 votes separated that? To be honest with you, for the last couple of weeks, I've been hearing that Becker had the vote. But I was also getting rumors that John Hoeven was busing people in and paying for hotel rooms. And, that's not the games that the Democrats play. So we're going to put it all out there. I do think that there is a huge fissure in the Republican Party compared to the establishment Republicans and, of course, this new constitutionalists, I'll call them. And I really hope we can make gains on that. Again, I think the core value of the Democrats is on community. It's on issues that actually affect us. In my home district, in District 30 in South Bismarck, I've never had my door knocked. The last election cycle during COVID, of course, that hurt us because we want to talk to people at their kitchen table, in their garage. And, of course, COVID really put a damper on that. I know we have a lot of really excited district candidates that are just pumped to, we call it getting turf cut, and to start making those door knocks. And I really think with the energy that we'll bring, with the positive attitude that we'll bring, we'll definitely turn some heads this election cycle.
Pat, always good to talk to you. The passion you have for North Dakota and the hard work you put in without getting a dime for it. And the debate you make sure happens. I just think you do a tremendous job. Thanks for coming down the road with us.